Hello guys, this is Sevalets and this is part 2 of the dependency injection in Magento 2 video. Previously we discussed some theory and we also checked Object Manager and the factory create methods implementation. We saw how dependencies are instantiated and how dependency injection works in Magento 2. In this part, I want to show you the consequences of misunderstanding this concept. Generally, the logic errors are the most difficult ones to debug because the PHP does not produce any kind of warnings or notices as if it would be a syntax error, for example. That's why it's important to understand the tool you're using and the concepts you operate with. Here we have Magento 2 installation, and I've already created the custom module, and I decided to demonstrate the difference between the two categories of objects we discussed previously and how dangerous could be the misusing of dependency injection and messing with the different object types. So as you can see, we have imaginable product counter interface, and it has one method count products, and we have two implementations, two services, product counter, which supposed to count all the products, and configurable product counter, which returns the number of configurable products only. And both implementations receive product collection and product collection factory in the constructor. And both implementations receive this special flag as an argument. And this flag defines whether the service should use the product collection itself or create the new product collection through its factory. And it returns the collection size. And in this example, we just count all the products, and if we go to configurable product counter, we will see that in addition, we just add the filter to filter products by configurable type. The rest logic is the same. Here we have Magento console command, and I've already injected both our services. But before I continue, I would like to point out that uh, both our services are independent and they don't know about each other. They don't connect it by any means, except they shared the same dependencies. So they both have product collection and product collection factory injected. If we check our execute method, you see that I do nothing more than just call each of our service one by one and print out the output. So let's try to run this command, but first, in the first run, I would like to run each service separately. So first of all, we calculate number of configurable products, and we see that we have 147 of them. And now let me comment the first part and calculate the total number of products. I rerun the command and we see that more than 2000 products in total are in our database. And now it's time when things get really nasty. Now I use both services in the same request response cycle. I run the command and you can see that we got incorrect result from the second service. So the total number of products now 147, as many as configurable products, and not 2000 of products that it was before. So let's try to understand and let's try to investigate what's going on and why all of a sudden our services returns incorrect result. As you can see, we use this injected collection flag and we pass it to both services. So basically, when the first service, which is configurable product counter, is instantiated, The object manager creates the product collection and product collection factory, of course, and inject them both. So when we run count product methods with use injected collection flag true, the service uses the injected collection and it applies a configurable type filter and it calculates the size of the collection. If we go down into get size implementation, you will see that Magento abstract DB collection implements internal cache. So basically, when you have a collection and you call get size twice, only one SQL query will be performed to calculate the total size of the collection, and the return result will be cached internally. So you can see how the good intention to reduce the overhead turns into a bad thing for our business logic. That's why when the second service, which is a total product counter, instantiated, the object manager goes through its dependencies and it sees that this service requires the product collection, and it checks its internal cache, and it saw that this product collection have been already instantiated for the previous service. So it does not create a new object but returns the already created instance. So basically, when the total product counter receives this product collection instance, it has already applied filter, and the total size is already calculated. So whenever the logic here is written, the result will remain the same. So that's why the product counter returns incorrect result, because basically it's a result from the previous call. And now you see how dangerous that could be, because from the PHP point of view, there is no any kind of errors, there's no syntax errors, so you will not get any warnings, notices, exceptions, whatever. So it's logic error. That's why it's extremely dangerous and difficult to debug. So you see how quickly and easily things might go wrong when you misuse the dependency injection or you mess the object types. To demonstrate that the correct way when you inject the factory is working, I'm gonna go back and I change the value of this flag to false. That means that each service now will use this product collection factory to create a new collection rather than use the injected collection object. So when we run the command, we're gonna see that now we have the correct results again. So those two services are not share the state anymore, and they operate independent. So I wanted to point out also that those services are independent, and it's just an artificial example I've prepared to demonstrate the potential issues. But you can think of those two services as completely different domain services which just share the dependency. For example, that might be some kind of product list object or some kind of block in Magento. Whenever you need the list of product and you try to inject the product collection, and the other one might be some kind of service or domain, let's say repository. It's just important to understand that whenever you inject the newable object directly, whether this collection model, by this you force the object manager to reuse and inject the same object, and that's how you create the shared state, which is okay when we speak about services. Those are singletons and they don't have internal state in a way the main entities do. So guys, that was a quite small and simple example of how dependency injection and the object manager works in Magento 2. Hopefully it was clear and descriptive enough to you to understand the importance of this topic. I have some pro tips for you. The pro tip number one of all time is just go through the documentation and especially check the dependency injection section. Also, I encourage you to learn the difference between the services and entities or injectable and viewable objects in Magento 2 context. Use the constructor injections whenever it's possible, and if you need to instantiate viewable object or entity model, uh, for example, product category, customer, inject the corresponding factory and create the object inside your service and provide the required data. This is really important because I saw a lot of cases when people inject the collections, as in my example, or they inject models directly, and whenever they need a new instance, they cloning the object, or they just, I don't know, inject the collection and use this clear method, try to reuse the object. It might work for some time, I would say, but it's not future proofed, and it will lead to very dangerous bugs, and you will spend, I don't know, countless hours debugging these type of issues. So do the background check, learn the theory, and use the proper tools. Also, avoid using Object Manager directly, of course. It's low-level service, and Magento uses it automatically to instantiate objects for you. So it shouldn't really be used outside of some kind of testing scenarios or just quick prototyping. So that was all from me today. I hope you like this. If you have any questions or you want to discuss this topic in more details, just write me or approach me personally. Thank you, guys.